This is AI Marketing Experts, where bold marketers and next-gen AI collide. Each week, join us as we decode trends, test tools, and share real wins from the AI-powered front lines. No fluff, no hype, just straight talk and smarter marketing. Tap subscribe and let's geek out on AI.
Well, howdy, everybody, and welcome to the AI Marketing Experts Show. My name is Chris Hunter, and I am joined here by a lot of really cool people that I am really good friends with that understand AI. Some of them a little bit better than I do in certain places, and you know, we're all experts in our own areas, though. We've got a great topic today, I think, for you, and a little known feature inside of Google has been there for a while, right? I've known about it for quite a while, and we decided to talk about this because it's just gotten better and better and better. And I think that there's a lot of possibilities to it. So without further ado, let's jump into NotebookLM. All right. If you're not aware of what NotebookLM is, it is, honestly, I thought it was a notebook, feature inside of, just like OneNote or, Evernote or anything like that. But it's got a lot more built into it and the possibilities with it are really, really not endless, but there's quite a bit out there. Okay. That you can do with it. All right. So let's jump into this. Who wants to go first?
Well, it's essentially free, if I'm not mistaken, just through your Google account. And there are some differences whether you're using a personal Gmail or you're using a Google Workspace account. But you can also get upgraded versions and upgraded capabilities through both personal and through a Workspace account. So I couldn't give you every detail of those, but I have been experimenting with both sides of it, and it's pretty powerful.
I think one of the main questions that people have is, okay, how do I find it? Because, they may be looking at it on the App Store, but if you just would type in notebooklm.google.com, it will show up and you can just get started. So as Brad just mentioned, they do have basically 3 different versions. You have a free version. You have what I find confusing, it'll be noted as the plus version, or when you're in there, it'll actually mark Pro up at your corner if you happen to be in a Google Business Suite. So you've got some different, those 2 versions, and then you have the Enterprise. And based on research and such, what we found on Enterprise, I know we're not on Enterprise, that is something that if you are a mega company and would need the additional security, but the security that NotebookLM provides is tremendous. And I think that's one reason why a lot of companies such as ourselves has been looking, because we can go ahead and pull information together. And it doesn't, it's not used in AI training. It's not going to be used in your Gemini training. So it's nice. It's kind of tucked into our Google Workspace that we can really deep dive about our clients or learn more about our clients, share information among our team, share the information out to our clients, but it is contained.
And I think to add a little bit of context for people that haven't used it yet, why the heck would you need it? What's it all about? Think of it this way. Think of taking a whole bunch of control documents, sources, YouTube videos, Google Docs, PDFs. On the free plan, you're allowed to dump 50 of those in there. And there's a couple little hacks we'll probably tell you about how you can get more content in there within that 50, and still be on the free plan if you want. But what you've just done is you've just layered these in. And it's one of those, because Google owns YouTube. It's actually one of the nice ones where you just drop the YouTube URL in, and it's not like ChatGPT where it goes, I don't know what that is. I can't read the transcript. It just knows. It's natively living in there. And now you've created a collection that you can do stuff with, and it kind of the AI sticks to that collection. It doesn't go off and hallucinate and pull other stuff in unless you press discover, and we'll talk about that as well. But just think of it as you can collect a bunch of stuff that's similar together and then do stuff with that. So at a very, very basic level, when would you put a whole bunch of stuff that's the same together and ask questions against it? That's what this is. Exactly.
Because like John said, you could load all different types of files in there: YouTube, docs, audio files, PDFs, all the different things. And then from there, what we're going to show today is how can you power that up and make it do something useful?
I was just going to ask, so what are some use cases, right? Let's provide maybe a couple of use cases And since we're marketing, let's stick it with marketing, right? Let's stick to marketing here. Jen, you use it quite a bit. What's a good use case for marketing specifically with using NotebookLM?
Yeah. So this is, I guess, marketing adjacent. We are right now working on a knowledge base for a sales team, and they need very specific information about everything that they're selling. This particular client, the items that they're selling are very detailed, and they differ quite a bit. And so, the sales team needs a lot of information that they can access without getting bogged down with like Google or things like that. So it's been really helpful for that.
Okay. And how are they using that? Like specifically, are they just typing in, "Hey, tell me about such and such product," as they're talking with the customer?
They're basically, and we're building it right now, so they're not using it quite yet, but the vision is that and this is, I'll just explain, it's for building materials. So cladding, rain screens, facades, things like that. And there's several different types of materials. And so if they're looking for, like, maybe they want to recommend a material that is really, really good with earthquakes. Like, they want to make sure that it's highly rated, for earthquakes, buildings that would need that. So they're able to just chat with the notebook without having to like go through everything, like, oh, which ones are rated the highest for earthquake, I can't think of the word, but and not prevention, but just handling earthquakes, or which ones are rated the best for fires, things like that. I'm in the Seattle area, so they can query it for which materials are going to be the best for rain, for like 10 months of rain. So different things like that. And they all come in like different sizes, and there is different lead times for, like, they might be working on a project that they had a material, it fell through, now they need a different one, and they need it in 4 weeks. That's going to be a different set of materials that then would be available in like 16 weeks. So
in that scenario, you would be uploading all the vendors' product guides and documents and all of that, all the behind the scenes stuff, and just going, here's all this stuff. And instead of somebody taking an hour flipping like the old days, is like, oh my gosh, this vendor's now behind. Now we got to solve this project problem. How are we going to do it? Tom goes back to his desk, opens up all the binders, flips through. Oh, finally, an hour later, I found one of our vendors that can actually got a similar product that has about a 4-week lead time, and I called him. Or now go into the notebook that's built on that, and 1 minute later, Tom comes back, and then he spends the next, hour or two drinking coffee in the break room because he has solved the problem quicker. So,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Way to go, Tom. So I've got a neat case study that we use it for, that I think like we use it quite a bit, but writing FAQs for Google business profiles. So, right. So we upload, here's the way, right. So there's a good, better, best in everything in my head. That's the way I think. And so you can always think of, hey, what are the common questions you get asked? And, and what are some of the answers for it? That's the grunt way to do it, and good enough, gets you started. And you should have FAQs up on your website. You should have them on your Google Maps listing, all that kind of stuff, but they should be relevant to what people are actually asking. So another place you can go is Google Suggest. Anytime you type in Google, there's a pop drop down of what other people might have typed. And then once you get an answer, there's usually other ways of stating it. And if you start clicking on them, it expands. And there's tools out there that will scrape that and give you that list of Google Suggest. We use one of those tools. There's a website called Answer the Public that will have another way of getting what questions there are, right? So we grab that list around topics in the carpet cleaning world and all that. But then we also get anywhere that we've got call transcripts. So for a client or whatever, a client's been with us 3 months, 6 months, and they've allowed us to have the transcripts through one of our automation tools or whatever. We'll take those transcripts as well, put them all in a Google Doc. So they're, again, this is now you only have one item, not 50 transcripts, one Google Doc, a whole bunch of items. There's the trick right there to get more into your thing. And then now say, hey, based on all of this, what is a good series of questions that people are actually asking? Can you please weight higher this Google Doc than the answer to the public? You tell it, weight this one more important than the generic one, which is more important than the list I came up with in my head. And then load the website, load any documentation you have. And then can you write consumer friendly 5th grade level answers? 2 to 3 sentences, one paragraph that I could put in as the answer to these FAQs on Google Drive or on the website or whatever. So now you've sourced the most relevant questions and good answers just by loading good material.
Interesting. So is there a way that you can use NotebookLM almost like like a custom GPT? Is there a way to train it on your entire organization and have one entire organizational NotebookLM that's trained on specifically like brand voice and, all of that kind of stuff? Is that possible with NotebookLM, and then to create content based off of that?
Jen and Laura are shaking their head yes. And,
Jen might know more. I don't consider it as a custom, but because it's all of our information that we've either collected about our own company or about our customers, we're able to load that. So then when we're doing any kind of some areas that we have used it for as a marketing agency is a competitive analysis, asking it to do a SWOT analysis, loading the competitors within that. So we can have it find those gaps and how can, our customers answer those questions or, exploit those gaps and be the provider for what somebody might be looking for. So Jen might have specific as how she does it, but the way we do it is by providing those just information that we've collected all these years of working with our customers and our clients. Loading that in under their own specific notebooks has been a tremendous source for any of our team members, because if they're doing their social media, if they are trying to do reporting, it's amazing what you're going to be able to do report. But we've been working with our customers. We've been blessed to work with them for years. And so now any of our new team members can go and learn, slice and dice the information that they may need in order to learn more and be more efficient and work more effectively with the customer.
And how hard is it to keep these notebooks updated, right? Because I imagine if you train it on a customer, on a client, or on anything like that, you've got to keep that information up to date, right?
The one thing I did notice is that with some of the updates, any of the older notebooks did not allow us to have the studio. And the studio, what we're talking about is the 4 squares that allows for the audio, so what people know, basically ran to Google Notebook was because they were like the podcast. So that would be one with the audio. Now they've got the video version. You can do the mind maps, as John had mentioned. You can also do reporting of different things. So the FAQs, it will write your FAQs based on some of the transcripts, anything as he had mentioned. That's the only thing I noticed, that if it was one of the original notebooks, I did not see all of those studios in there. But other than that, we have to remember that if we link a Google Doc as a source, it is static. And so if we have created that from say we put a brand guide together for them when they first start working for them, and now we went back to update some of those brand guides, we need to synchronize it. So there's just a sync button, and I know we'll be showing some visuals here. If you click that, then it'll bring that newest information in. So I think we do need to keep that in mind, that it is a static doc if it's linked until we resync it.
But the benefit of syncing it is insane, because you think of a building chat, again, custom GPTs or any of the things that we've all done, that is static. Like, I mean, you literally have to delete it and add the new one, delete it and keep that list. In Notebook, it tells you that, hey, there's a new version. Do you like to sync it? So Google Docs is one of the best ways to use Notebook for that kind of data, because, even if you can take a PDF, grab all the content, put it in a Google Doc, if you update that Google Doc, just resync it and it's now up to date. And there is actually a feature in the reporting that's a timeline as well. So you can see how you how you've built this and used it over time. It's just in the report dropdown. And it just gives you an AI timeline based on the sources that you've been putting in and out and stuff like that.
I think it's time to do show and tell, because these four studios and John being the Google Docs genius, I think we should look at some of these things.
Cool.
Yep.
Would you like me to start, John, or do you want to start?
Yeah, go nuts. Let's see yours.
Okay, I'm going to start high level, and then John's going to jump in, and he's going to share with anyone that may have not done this. But we're going to go ahead and start and just kind of look at, once you have a new notebook started, one of the first things, again, when he starts a brand new one, you'll see how it's asking and recommending some sources. So you can see I've got some sources listed here to the side. One tip that I would add, that because this is one of our older notebooks, we have not done this, but just rename them by clicking the three dots, rename them as to where the source came from. So if you would say this is a persona, or this is a pain point with the audience, this is a competitive analysis, whatever the source might be, rename it. And the reason why that becomes a very strong tip is that way you can just unclick which ones you want to deal with. So if I would say these first three are my, say it deals with pain points, I would actually ask it to summarize these pain points, and then I'd be able to save that source as a summary, which makes it nice. The other thing we must consider is if we're asking some of these things, so I'm going to go ahead and click all of it. It's giving me some suggestions. We're just going to randomly click this here. These notes disappear unless you ask it to save. So that is one thing that users need to remember. They will disappear. That is their privacy policy. That allows you to kind of just say, yeah, that mattered, or nope, move it along. So we want to make sure once this is done, and because I selected 12 sources, we're going to
you're going to be well.
The studio while it's churning there. But this is what we're talking about, the audio. This is what people ran to because of the podcast feature. It still does the interaction. Very, very cool. I don't know whether we'll have time to click and look at that. The video overview, also fantastic. And consider that you can ask it to change your audiences. So if you're asking the video to be very technical based on what you are, say you're doing a competitive analysis, you want it very technical, deep, you can put that in. Or if you're saying, no, I just need this to be fun, more write it as a 8th grade level, you can change that. John can go into more in the mind map or some of the reporting. You can see, again, if you, have any of these, here's like the briefing doc, it would go ahead and bring up the briefing doc. Tremendous information. When you want to change, so this is what I was saying, that it's marked that I'm pro. That means I'm paying for the plus because it's part of our suite. So that's just that mid-level, not the free one, of course. But you can go ahead and configure it as to what conversational style you want, as well as if you want it longer or shorter, the responses. This will save you time in the end because, like I said, that's with the paid version. You don't have those options. But I tell you what, that has allowed the tone and the information to differ based on whichever notebook we're using. So don't forget that that's there. The share is here, that if you want to share it out to anybody, you can go ahead and click and add a welcome note if you'd like. And then the analytics, you must share the notebook at least with, I believe it's 4 people, in order to generate any kind of analytics as to how they are interacting with it. So that is, I don't know whether you guys have any specific questions. That is a very high level as to some different things that you can do.
So go back to the 4 squares real quick.
Yes.
Studio. Where it was showing you the different, outputs,
yes.
right?
Let me go.
So whether that was podcast or audio or video or any of those kinds of things, how do you call those specifically? Like if you're in that notebook, how do you call the audio and say, make an audio overview of this. I don't know what the possibilities are, honestly, but something like that, right? And do like what you were talking about in the 8th grade, not tone, whatever, kind of a thing. How do you do that?
We'll see if this shows or if it sounds. So anyway.
So a lot of us are using AI these days, right? But let's be real for a second. Are you really getting the most out of it? I mean,
are you able to hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, you'll see. And when you do a few of them, you'll notice that the graphics start looking very much the same. But as we kind of go through here.
Think about it. The AI has no idea about your business, your goals, or who you're trying to talk to, unless you tell it.
So if we go, and I believe I'm going to have to rerun this. These are some of those features that let's go shorter. And then there's my button. Yes, working on a laptop is always fun to find your buttons again. So if we click video overview, it should be shorter. But while it's doing that, and John, you're more welcome to jump in here while I'm waiting for some of these to populate.
So is that creating a video overview of what it came up with inside of your chat?
No, it's creating, that's a great question. It's going through these 12 sources. So as you can see, I have, and this is, hold on real quick. So this is just a regular source of what it recommended. And so when we started this notebook, it said, here's some sources we recommended. And then it went ahead and pulled these. So you can see that I can see where it's pulling information from.
And even in the chat, when you get an output, see all the little citations, you get to know where it's pulled, like in the middle center panel, you get the little 2s and 4s and stuff. It's what source it pulled it from as well, which is really handy when you're sort of, if there's contrarian views, you can say, well, this, and you can kind of see where it's referencing. So think of it as a study guide. Like it's not like our normal chat GPTs and perplexities and just getting answers. Think of this as your personal education assistant, as well, like a whole bunch of things you can do with it, but you can learn a topic really quickly, with a bunch of different modalities. So.
Yes. And so this is one of the videos that I loaded, etc. And to John's point, if you want to learn it fast, like the audio as well as especially the audio, there tends to be a little fluff because it's going back and forth and it's very conversational. And as a plus/pro user, paid user, you're able to interrupt and actually ask some questions, and we can go into that in a moment. But what I found interesting is you can download that audio, and you got to be careful. If you click these again, then it starts doing it one more time. So let's look at the audio here. But if it is too much,
found yourself, staring at a blank AI prompt, wishing you could just get it to truly understand what you want.
You can click the interactive, and it will ask, let me see if it'll pick up my audio. But it'll allow you to ask a question. And when you're able to ask a question, it will review your sources and provide you an answer based on your question. So if I would be able to interrupt it here on this video and say, could you provide me the number one way to start with NotebookLM, it would actually adjust the conversation and get directly to that point. So that is a really cool, fast learning. The other way, as I was mentioning with all the fluff, you can download it. I know this sounds like extra steps, but you can download the video, upload it in Google Studio, ask it for transcripts, and then download it again as a one-person summarized learning audio. So it will give you that file that'll streamline everything and allow you to listen to it faster. So you would not have to listen to the conversational version. So that's just one little tip about pulling in another Google tool.
Yeah. And the one thing I like using it for, and kind of taught the team to do this as well, is like again, I'll share one on how like EOS, we run the entrepreneurial operating system. We were just trying to get better at doing rocks and stuff like that, about half a year ago or a quarter or two ago. So it was just all the resources, but it was my project ops manager, Crystal. I said, I created an audio for interactive and just said, go for a walk, take your dogs for a walk, right? Put the headphones in, listen to it and interrupt it, right? Just, oh, wait a minute. To be clear, wait, stop, pause for a second. I want to go back to that point. I'm a little fuzzy on that. Oh, very good. Thank you. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for interrupting. So yeah, here, and then it goes a little bit deeper, right? So when you've got the interactive audio, you can just, if you want to learn, how to have a really cool, beard like Brad, you're going to say, hey, here's my buddy Brad. Here's his really cool beard. I want to figure out how to get one the same way and stuff like that. And you can have a conversation with it. You can load other beard examples and stuff like that or whatever. You can load Chris's beard and go, Chris has got a beard, but Brad's is cooler, whatever. And next thing you know, you have a conversation on a walk with your dog about how to spend the next couple of years and grow a really cool beard. Not saying that I've done that, but you guys might see me with a beard in a couple of years. So just saying.
And by the way, for the record, yes, Brad does have a way cooler beard than I do.
Well, as he was giving that overview, I was just showing you some of the FAQs that are generated based on, again, these sources. And if you're ever saying, wow, I need more, I want the up-to-date information about AI prompt, you can always hit discover. And then we'll go ahead and, tell you some additional information about sources.
Interesting.
So again, mine's running a little bit. So anyway, you can go ahead and look. And if you like them, those are the ones you toggle in. If you don't, because again, to John's point earlier, if you're in a free version, you only have 50 meaning sources over here. I know he'll show you a way to use tabs and get those in quicker. But a paid is 300. So you have quite a bit of sources. They do go faster than what you think. So again, you'll want to make sure that, okay, if you're coming down here and selecting a PDF or whatever, is it actually going to be beneficial for what you are wanting to know and learn with this? One thing that I was sharing with the group as I had an opportunity to take some time off, I was onboarding some new employees and I was able to share with them our, very contained customer information. And so instead of saying, okay, take time to go through their websites, here's some past minutes, they were able to just open up the notebook and, like John said, listen to the audio. For those that want it visual, they were able to click the visual, watch the video. But now they have some real insight as to where we started with our customers to where they are now. And then they're able to project as to what 2026 and beyond may be for them. So that's very nice. Anyway, that was a very fast overview. Again, John will go in a little bit deeper for how to get started.
That was great, Laura.
Yeah, that was good. That was exactly.
Hey, John, it's time for you to go nuts, man. What do you got?
I will go crazy. So no. So yeah, a couple of things. There's the one I was talking about with the, if we can see the screen, the EOS. So an example of how we use it. So one, to your point, Chris, audio overview, press the button, it starts building it. Press the three dots, customize. Okay. I use ChatGPT for this because you run out of characters pretty quickly. So it's like, hey, I am creating I want to customize my audio overview, for, this topic. And, here are some of the things I want to, can you create a customizer? I think it's 1,000 characters or something like that. It runs out pretty quick. So because I will give it a long prompt, it says too long, and then I will take it to ChatGPT, get it shorter, and pop it back in. And then when I go to generate, it does that. Another thing we do a lot is it's not in this guide because it wasn't necessary, but I actually have a Google Doc. So I will add a source, pull up a Google Doc, and one of the Google Docs is so we create some of these audio overviews for our clients. So like what we do and why we do it, why we do the social media the way we do, our role, their role, stuff like that. We've got documents on that, but it's part of a broader integrative omnipresence marketing system, best known cleaner, blah, blah, blah. So it's part of a whole context. So we actually have a document that is a NotebookLM audio overview primer is what I called it. And it's basically, here's our company, here's what we're about, here's what our marketing program is all about, stuff like that. So it is sitting in any one of those other files. So when I create an audio overview, I will give it a little bit of customization. And in the customization, I'll say, take this document labeled primer, and use that as reference to why we're talking about this one specific thing and then I'll give the training guide to the client, but with an audio overview. They can listen to it, they can read it, they have a bunch of choices that they can consume the content. Mind maps are cool. We're talking about that. So for example, if we just pop it up, right? So, and that's almost as quickly as it builds it as well. You press mind map and within like 10 seconds, it goes, okay, EOS, what are rocks? Oops, let's get that back up again. What are rocks? And then it pulls it just like an interactive mind map. It's, they're 90 days. They key to a 10-year target, priorities, whatever. And then we go, okay, well, that's cool. Thanks. Why do we need rocks? Right. So that's just taken from all the material, and it just gives you an easy, you can digest the content a little bit quicker.
You can download.
Yeah. You can take all of this information here and say, I want to, EOS quarterly rock planning playbook. So I had put a prompt in saying I wanted a playbook that I could pull out of this and build into a custom GPT that we use every single time we do L10s, rock planning. We built a massive, basically an EOS integrator implementer, custom GPT. Well, I needed some source documents for that. So there's the playbook one that we added in. So that got copied and put into the backend, including it actually even built is it measurable, achievable, specific, things like that. That got loaded in as a source document to create a custom GPT agent. So I didn't have this source document, didn't find it anywhere. So we made our own as part of the knowledge panel. So I use it for that, as well as taking a whole bunch of things on the one topic and then starting to create knowledge panel that I'm going to use elsewhere. I'm going to just copy and paste out of here. Obviously a study guide if you want to learn the subject really well. And we got the FAQs, the timeline we talked, a briefing doc just as that overview, that executive summary and stuff like that. So if you really think about it, you just take some content and drop it in. And I do, like, this one's very specific to rocks, but we could have, as we said, if I had the paid plan and 300 and not just 50, I could put all of them in there and then have them relabeled rocks, L10 meeting, and then just turn them off and then turn these ones on and create some content there. Now, if I wanted this to be part of my source material, I just hit the three dots and I can convert it to source, and boom, it would show up here as a piece of source material that it uses from that point forward. Right. So, or you could delete it if it was useless, get rid of it, clean your desktop up. So yeah, I mean, just a lot of ways of just interacting with a bunch of content. And then, as I said, that one little trick that we have is, think, for example, if you've got a whole bunch of transcripts of Janice on the front phone and you want to find if Janice on the front phone is doing a good job or not, you could have a bunch of training material, videos and documents and PDFs that maybe you learned from a persuasion expert or a phone training course that you took, or anything like that. You have all that in there. And then you have one document that is just, you load Janice's recordings into, and maybe all of June, you load into a document on tab 1. All of July, you load into a document on tab 2. All of, August, tab 3, that kind of idea. Well, that's only one source now, but it's a source that you're building volumes of stuff into, right? And your only limitation is whatever limitation there is to Google Docs, adding tabs and sources. And I haven't run into that wherever that cap is yet. So then, yeah, you just hit refresh. There'll be a little refresh beside there. And now you can say, hey, based on all of this, compare Janice's answers and talking to customers in June to August since she's been retrained, and give me an insights on that. Based on all of the material, what kind of next step individual development plan should we put in place next? How is it going? Things like that. So instead of reviewing all the transcripts and listening to all of them, you can even say, pull out a few points in the August where she did something better than she did in June. Right. So if you can think of like just that interaction with the data, and then you can create a little, meeting notes. Now create me a meeting notes so that I can have a good conversation with Janice. Maybe one of the sources you want to pull in is how to have constructive criticism conversations, right? So now you just highlight that and say, based on that, how would I have a constructive conversation because I'm not good at this? And all within one platform. So the uses are infinite, but if you can see the way that once you start building it and interacting with it, it's all contained to the one topic, the one thing you want. And if you want more, as I said, just hit discover and look for more. And
I think you highlighted the add button, and I did not do this, but if you click the add button, some of our listeners may be saying, wait a minute, but I've been using Perplexity or Claude and I need a lot of information. Yes, the paste text is huge when it comes to if you're doing any kind of deep dive elsewhere and you have that information, paste it over. That's how you can go ahead and bring that in. So I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted how they can bring in an outside.
You can drag and drop stuff from your computer, your files there. The Google Docs, the coolest one. I find I just use that a lot, but websites and YouTube, obviously super easy. And then, the paste is really nice as well if you're grabbing from elsewhere. So
and you can do contest go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead, Brad.
Oh, you can do some content repurposing too, where you take a YouTube video, maybe it's yours, maybe it's somebody else's, and put it in there and communicate with it through the platform to create a blog post, create an email, to create another document. I mean, it's insane of how you can repurpose content.
Add your own website. Yeah. Add say 10 YouTube videos on how to train, how to talk about NotebookLM. Add the AImarketingexperts.net website. And hey, I want to make my own version of this. I want it to be 5 minutes long. You've got all that. And, so you add the website, based on the website, our website and our topics and maybe, whatever. And then, start asking your questions and output a transcript or a bullet points if you want to freeform it or an actual transcript to put on a teleprompter, whatever, and off you go.
So I see a lot of possibilities here, right? And this is what we kind of alluded to at the very beginning of this show here. But, right, if we're loading all of this data in there and Google's not using this?
It's supposed to be, that's why I was actually reviewing their privacy policy. Yeah. And you guys can correct me, but that is one reason it's very appealing is because it's basically a closed
system. Yeah, it's sort of like being on GPT Teams. It's your stuff is left to you and not training the model is what they're telling us. Again, we're in a world where privacy's out the window. Can you guarantee that? Yeah. I don't know, but at least they stated it, so you can have a class action lawsuit in 20 years. But whatever.
Well, and here's another use case that I just thought of, right? And this is for sales and could be for marketing. Okay, is if you load all of these conversations into actual phone conversations into NotebookLM, right? Possibly coming up with the main pain points that people are having as one.
Yeah.
Right. Number two, your most common objections, right? On sales objections. And so if you know what those are, then you can have, I would imagine, I don't know exactly, like, can you ask it to come up with, how to, is it a normal LLM, right?
Yep.
Chat, like kind of Chat GPT, Claude, anything like that you can say, hey, come up with act as Alex Hormozy and help me with this, and come up with how to counteract those objections, all of these main objections. I mean, I see the possibilities as a whole bunch there, and then you could take those, right, and put those on your website. You can create whole blog posts out of those things. I mean, it's just a matter of getting the data, right, and feeding it into it, which shouldn't take too long if you're already recording conversations and stuff like that, and that's hard to do, but you know, if you are doing that, then you've got a mountain of data there, right? And it's just a matter of collecting it then and putting it into a notebook and creating the outputs from it.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it is. And the one thing that you like, so the one thing that doesn't appear to be anywhere, I don't know, unless Laura's found it buried somewhere, it's definitely using Google's LLM, Gemini, like their base models in the background somewhere. You don't have a choice of changing models. You can't drop down and go to an old version and stuff like that. It is what it is. It's built in, and I haven't seen. I'm on the free version. Maybe on the paid version, there's model choices, but on the free version, it is what it is.
I haven't tried that, but again, if you feel that you're getting better information at Perplexity, Claude, ChatGPT, change the model there and bring that in, and then and again, that's where you can decide, well, if I can just paste it in as we demonstrated, or create a Google Doc where you'll go back and do the research again at another time so you can sync it. And yes, to your point, it does basically say, hey, just don't put anything too private or, too personal on there. That's their reminder, as that you're putting things out there. Just think of what you're doing. So be aware.
100%. Yeah, and that's why I asked, is Google really, I mean, they say they're not using it, but are they? I mean, come on, so.
Right. I think that too, and this might be something we talk about in another episode, is just how then you can have this particular one work with other Google products or, Claude or some of these other builders. It is tremendous as to how they start working together.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
I think we covered a lot and really pointed out so many features that we're really scratching the surface, because as I've mentioned before, you could scan YouTube for people that really dissect this platform even deeper than we are, and it changes a lot. I mean, every week, every 2 weeks, there's like some new updates. There's, like, say, paid version versus free version, and it's morphing fast. So it's a good idea to start getting familiar with it.
Yeah.
Jen, did we miss anything that with all of your area of expertise, or Chris, Brad, did we miss?
Not that I can think of.
Really good.
All right. Yeah, I think that was really good.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of AI Marketing Experts. This was kind of mind-opening a little bit here on possibilities of what NotebookLM can do. And really, like Brad said, we're not even probably scratching the surface whatsoever on this. So dig into it. And while you're out there on YouTube or wherever that you're at and you're finding us, make sure that you do subscribe to us. Click that big Aggie Gig'em thumbs up. And like us and follow us.
Share this out with your friends.
Yeah.
Let everybody.
Yeah. We do a weekly episode, so be sure to come back next week where we dig into another AI topic. All right. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.